What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today in this video we're going to be going over some updates, news, patches, future content, and generally some things to be aware of with Destiny 2. Of course, a new patch update landed today with a couple of cool changes. Bungie also announced a bunch of stuff, some of it good news, some of it not so much, I want to talk about. So beginning with the update patch that landed today, it's called 1.0.5, and this one is the one about raid keys. So this one's pretty interesting, actually. Of course, we've been aware of the raid keys being deleted from your inventory with making alt characters and sometimes just randomly, but Bungie have actually fixed this issue completely. So no longer are your keys going to be removed from creating a new character and also logging into alts for the first time in a week. But then on top of that, they've also completely removed the feature where it would take your keys away from you on reset. So that's no longer a thing, and it's pretty weird because they fixed the issue and also just gotten rid of the feature that takes away your keys. So no longer are your keys going to be taken on reset, they're going to stay forever essentially. Now, I've never gotten multiple of the same key, so I'm not sure if you can loot the same chest multiple times in a week, but the main thing, of course, is that you can now keep your keys and no longer have to worry about doing it before the reset. You can basically do it whenever it's more convenient for you. Now, on top of that, they also fixed a pretty small issue, but quite a nice one as well. And this was when you popped your super, and then every time after it expired, it would take you back to your kinetic weapon, which can actually mess you up sometimes, especially trials or stuff like that. You'd be using a certain weapon, and when you switch back from your super, it would give you maybe the wrong weapon that might be out of ammo, or something you're not expecting to use. So it's always going to give you the weapon you were holding before you popped your super. So it's a very small thing, but I've noticed a ton of people asking for that feature and that bug since launch. So now it's been fixed, and it's no longer going to always give you your kinetic weapon after your super. There were also, of course, some more minor things, very small things that not a lot of people noticed, like an issue where Nessus scout reports would no longer add waypoints to certain chests. I had no idea that was a thing, but now it's been fixed. And there's a bunch of stuff for the companion app on iOS, Android, and the web. So as well as that, there's also a couple other very controversial changes and kind of things that Bungie updated us on in the weekly blog post. And this is firstly that Trials the 9 has been cancelled or postponed until the 3rd of November. And this, as you may have guessed, is because of that emote glitch, so you can go through walls and basically cheat. So a lot of people are doing that and reporting it, so now it's been delayed for 2 weeks. So this weekend and the next one, Trials the 9 will not be up and running. It's simply just going to not activate. Now, obviously, it is pretty strange to have one emote just delay all of Trials for 2 weeks. I mean, I feel like they probably should have just taken out the emote until it can be fixed. I don't think anyone would care or notice. It seems like the obvious solution to just take out the emote and put it back in when it's fixed, maybe. I mean, they probably would do that if they could, but I'm guessing it's not as simple as that. I mean, Bungie is obviously well aware of how popular Trials is. It's probably the most successful activity right now in Destiny 2, so they are well aware of how many players they're going to lose over these 2 weeks, so it's definitely not doing them any favors. So I'm assuming the fix is a bit more complicated than just taking out the emote. I don't know, I'm not a game developer. It does suck to see Trials down for so long, though. So the date that Trials goes live again is actually coinciding with the PC launch calendar, which Bungie announced. So of course, next Tuesday, the 24th, is when the PC platform launches. And when it does, it's going to go live with the Nightfall in normal mode, prestige mode, and guided games. And the following Wednesday after that, the 1st of November, the normal raid is going to go live. And the Friday of that same week is when Trials goes live. So that'll be the very first Trials for PC history. And of course, the first time console gets it in 2 weeks. So the Tuesday after that, the 7th, is when the prestige mode of the raid goes live, and of course raid guided games. So that is how stuff is going to work. It was pretty interesting because a lot of people were wondering, is every single bit of content going to be live on PC for day one? Are they going to stagger it like console? But that's how the calendar is going to work. So Bungie also laid out a bunch of technical issues and strange bugs that they're aware of and fixing for PC on a patch soon, but these things will be present at launch. These are very technical things for the very advanced computers, things like SLI graphics cards, which do often cause problems, triple monitors, certain keyboard layouts, and some network error codes like Buffalo and Saxophone, which you may encounter. So be aware of those, and Bungie did lay out a bunch of info on workarounds and fixes that you can do if you encounter these problems, so definitely give that post a read if you're going to be on PC with a very complicated build. So there are a lot of workarounds for most of these issues until, of course, Bungie can fix them in a patch update that should be arriving soon. So they also reminded everyone of the live stream happening tomorrow, of course, from TwitchCon, which is going to be detailing a bunch of stuff about seasons. So what do seasons mean in Destiny 2? What is going to change from season to season? And how will this evolve the Destiny player experience? It's going to be with the live team and a couple of designers. So it should be some pretty good stuff. And in addition to the talk about seasons, they should be talking about Festival of Lost or SRL or whatever events they have planned for Destiny 2 coming soon. So next up, let's talk about the challenge mode of the raid. They've detailed exactly what to expect in a kind of vague manner. So starting from October 31st, they're going to be adding an optional challenge to each raid encounter, one per week, of course, like Destiny 1. So for those of you that don't know what a challenge mode is, it's basically an optional challenge that you do on top of either normal mode or prestige difficulty. It's not a new third difficulty of the raid, but you do an encounter of a raid in a certain way to get more loot. So each week, one of the 4 encounters is going to be the challenge, and it cycles through all of them and then restarts after the 4 weeks have been done and all 4 encounters had their challenge offered for the week. So of course we don't know what these challenges are going to be and they're not going to announce them. We're going to have to figure out on the day. So examples I can think of maybe as guesses is for the gauntlet, maybe everyone lives through the end of it and nobody dies, or for the dogs or the pleasure gardens, you only use the safe room once or twice, for example. So they'll be along the lines of doing the encounter in a really difficult and restrictive way, but the game is going to tell you in the feed if you failed so you know when to reset, but it doesn't add a new mechanic, you just opt in to do it in a certain way. So what kind of loot can you get for this extra effort? So basically an emblem, that is the only reward. One of these 4 emblems you can see on screen right now for each encounter, and you also get a guaranteed loot drop from each room, so you won't just get tokens or a key. You're always going to get an armor piece or a weapon, a loot drop for that difficulty. So yeah, massively disappointing in my opinion. I feel like the more difficult versions of the raid there are, the less rewarding they get. I honestly don't know if I'm going to bother myself with challenge mode, because I'm not really that fussed about an emblem. But like I said a million times, I'm not a fan of how unrewarding these prestige and flawless activities are in Destiny 2. They really need to change some things and give way more incentives to do them. The main thing I don't get is how we went from something like Age of Triumph, which was showering us in challenge mode loot. There was so much cool stuff, the ornaments, the raid gear, so much awesome stuff to earn, but in this game there's literally no incentive to do these high level activities. So letting us keep our keys is definitely a good start. That was much needed, but I definitely want to see some more fixes like that, making these activities worthwhile. So of course, comment down below, what do you think of challenge mode and even prestige mode as well, if you're planning on doing it. I can probably guess your answer about challenge mode, but let me know what you think of it and if you're planning on doing the challenge mode yourself. So a lot of news coming out, some of it good, some not so much. I do think tomorrow's live stream is going to be pretty important for Destiny 2. Obviously, the bulk of the community wants to know how Bungie is going to address the endgame or what's coming. So what Bungie talk about tomorrow in terms of events, DLC, updates is going to be very crucial, I think. Of course, I'll have a video up tomorrow summarizing everything they do talk about, so make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already so you don't miss out on that video. But if you enjoyed this video and want to help support the channel, then a like rating down below would be awesome. I really do appreciate all of your constant support with likes and comments and just tuning in every day since Destiny 2's launch. If you want to watch a really interesting video I made talking about the locations and enemies inside Destiny 2's expansions coming up, then you can click the image on screen right now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.